All right, you should have something now popping up. Hello, Facebook family and friends, YouTubers. Welcome to another edition of Meet the Authors, hosted by the Britell Family Foundation. It's me, your girl, Shakura, and my big sister, Kwanzaa, and we are so excited about today. So today's author is a very special guest. She's actually she and I have some things in common. We both went to Morgan, go MSU, where we actually first met, oh my gosh, 20 years ago? Yeah, a little over 20 years ago, we first met on the wonderful campus of Morgan State. And with today is also really special for her because today is World Down Syndrome Day. So without further ado, I am going to introduce you all to a good friend of the Britell Family Foundation, Miss Meek Caldwell.
Hey, how are y'all? You said 20 years. I was like, woo.
I was thinking she telling her age. It is probably more than 20 years because my oldest is 27 and KJ's 23, 24. So yeah.
We ain't ask all of that. I said it was over 20 years. We could have just left it with over 20 years, right? Here we go. All up in my stuff. So
thank you for joining us, Meeka.
No problem.
Yes, thank you so very much for having us. So Meeka and I originally met, like I said, over 20 years ago. We shared a bathroom.
Right?
At Morgan State. But as God would have it, we lost contact, and a good friend of ours actually put us back in contact with each other when the Britell Family Foundation was looking for some children authors.
Hey, Gina.
Hey, Gina. Thank you so very much. Meeka, we are so glad to have you with us today for our Meet the Author section. So today, as I mentioned, is World Down Syndrome Day. And we know that today, March 21st, being World Down Syndrome Day means so much to you. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and why today is so important to you?
Sure. So happy World Down Syndrome Day to everyone that is celebrating, who has a friend, family member, anyone you know with Down syndrome. This is the day that we celebrate, bring awareness, and we promote by wearing our socks, because socks represent the chromosomes. If you ever looked at a picture of it, they look like little socks. So we encourage people to wear their most unique, fun, colorful, mismatched socks to represent our kiddos, our family, our friends. And my son, Anian, affectionately known as Boo Thing, is my 6-year-old Joy who has Down syndrome. So this day means a lot to us to celebrate and to keep promoting him and our family and friends. So I am a mother of 6. We are a blended family. We live in Maryland. We first started on this advocacy journey when Anian was diagnosed when I was 15 weeks pregnant. So we have been doing this for a long time, just to kind of bring awareness and bring people in, and especially our Black and brown folks, because we understand there is a definite need for more representation in our community. So with that being said, that's why we have our book series called A Friend Like Anian, because I wanted him represented in books. I wanted to see his face on paper. I wanted other families to know that we're out here, we're here. Like, it's not exclusive to any particular race or color. We can all have Down syndrome. So it was a lack that we saw, so we did something about it, and we wrote a book. So thank you so much for having me on. I love talking about this topic because, I mean, it's us. We live our lives every single day with Anian, and I'm connected to so many good parents and families to share our journeys with. So yes, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. It is a pleasure to have you. And thank you for that bit of education to let us know, for those of us who did not know that today was World Down Syndrome Day and what World Down Syndrome is all about. So that is something that we really want to appreciate with you in regards to that. So you did mention that you started your book, A Friend Like Anian, because your son was diagnosed with Down syndrome. Talk to us a little bit about.
I think we lost her. Maybe okay.
Talk to us a little bit about. Say it again.
I'm sorry. About your journey as far as having him diagnosed with Down syndrome. You said that you found out while you were still pregnant. So just talk to us a little about your journey with that.
Sure. So this was my fourth baby. You always be like, those are surprise babies, but you know. And I remember I was starting a job. I was coming back to work because I was a stay-at-home mom with my other little ones. And then it seemed like every time I got a job, I had a baby. So maybe God was like, you need to stay home, right? You don't need to work. So I just remember going in because, of course, I think I was over 35. And, you know, you have those different markers. You're over 35. I was on bed rest for my last child. So like, oh, you're high risk. So you have to come in and have these tests. And I'm like, okay, cool, sure. Didn't matter to me. And then they said, oh, there's markers like a thick nuchal fold was like the back of his neck. He had like a lot of space between his big toe and the other toe, which is another marker. And they was like, oh, you know, there's a small chance you might have Down syndrome. And me, because I was just not educated, I'm like, I've never seen a Black person with Down syndrome. So, okay, run the test. I don't know. And I was at my job for 2 weeks, and the geneticist called and said over the phone, the test confirmed that your child has Down syndrome. And I admit, I didn't know what to think. I was sitting there like, really? Okay, so what does this mean? I have no information, anything. They were like, well, come to the office tomorrow and we'll sit down. And I'm like, okay. I told my husband, I'm still thinking, oh my gosh, I just started this job. And as God would have it, the job that I had, I was an HR generalist with an organization that employed people with disabilities onto government contracts. Wow. So it was like, I was sitting there like, okay, something's going on here. And I went into the office the next day, and I just remember them putting his sonogram up on the screen and giving me all these pamphlets. And the first question they said was, okay, well, do you want to terminate? And I'm like, no, like, you have my baby's picture up there. I came because I thought you had more information. I came because I thought you would tell me what I need to do, what equipment I need, or whatever. And you're telling me that's the first question you asked me? So needless to say, that was like so emotional. I think I just bust out crying. It was like, how? That's it? And I think they were just trying to be so medical about it that they weren't really compassionate about it or sharing information about it or the positives about it. And I remember asking them, okay, well, do you have a Black family that I can meet? Because I know our experiences are different. And they're like, no, we don't have anybody. So I left there feeling like, here we go. Like, I have to find my own resources. I have to figure out what this means because you didn't tell me anything. And so from then, I remember going home of Google. Sometimes you're your friend and sometimes not your friend. They always say like, don't Google. But I ended up like finding like networks and of Black families and networks of families in general and going, okay, like we can do this. I can do this. I still didn't know what it meant though. I was like, what do I need? I think the first question I asked them was, can I still breastfeed? Like, is that a thing? But they just had like no answers for me. Wow. But I searched and searched, and I remember finding like my church. I remember we had a special needs ministry, and I remember emailing and just saying, we was just diagnosed. I don't know what this mean. If you have, and our wonderful, wonderful Reverend Taylor, I remember I talked to her on the phone for a couple of months, and then one day she just stopped by my house. She always encouraged me and stopped by and brought gifts and dinner. You know how great it is when you're like the mother of 3 kids and somebody brings you dinner, and was just so supportive, right? And from then on, it was like, it's on. And I remember after he was born, I sent pictures to that same geneticist, to that same office. I sent pictures, I sent our story, and I was like, if you have another family that comes in there like me, please send them to me, because it does not have to be just one choice that you give them. you can give them the choice to embrace and love their child and give them resources. And since you didn't have any, you can point them to me. And I took this whole email. Yeah.
That is awesome. Kudos to you.
Yeah,
that is truly amazing. I'm sorry, go ahead, Clinton.
I was gonna say this hits me in a different way. So and I'm gonna try not to get emotional. Oh my goodness. So yep, too late. So I had an experience about a year ago. And when you first started telling your story, because we didn't talk about this in preparation for today, my experience was similar. I was at work and I'm over 40, and you get the phone call in the middle of your day when you're like, oh, I just went in for routine blood work. What are you calling me for? And they drop that news exactly the same way you received it. And actually, I didn't know that I was being tested. So mine was like, oh, yeah, your test showed up. It's positive that your child has it. And I'm like, whispering on the phone, what's going on? So I truly understand how you felt in that moment. And woman to woman and mother to mother, thank you for sending your pictures back to that geneticist and for putting yourself in that situation. Because I do remember I too was like, what does this mean? And they said, well, come to the office tomorrow. And it's kind of like you said, that medical thing. And we need our doctors and our nurses to remember that, even though I know they learn bedside manner, that this is the time that they need to be most sensitive. And my doctor, he ended up being more sensitive in the end, but at that time it just felt so cold and mechanical. Yeah. I'm calling my job. I'm like, I can't come to work tomorrow. What am I going to do? But I will say that I was a patient at Kaiser, and they did have some slightly more information and said, hey, we're going to let you see a geneticist. Hey, we're going to do those things. So I just wanted to echo your story, only because we're here and we're promoting World Down Syndrome awareness. And I want people to know that it's not just Meeka, and there's tons of other people. And I invited some of the people who I know who have babies with Down syndrome, who are some of the most amazing kids. So I don't know if they're tuned in right now, but I invited my friend Peggy and her son. She calls him Boy Wonder. And I never reached out to her when I was going through this, but just to see her story and to see him share and to know that you're doing the same thing. And I have another friend who her daughter, Brittany. Shout out to you, Brittany, if you're out there and listening. And then shout out to all of my friends who I work with. I can't say the name of my company, but we work with individuals with disabilities. Just to see parents like you taking that initiative and going the extra mile to give that back, because it is a frightening situation, but it doesn't have to be as definite as they say, because they gave that same answer. They were like, do you want to terminate? And we're like, wait a minute.
Right.
Her heartbeat for months, and now I've got her on the screen. What do you mean? She's a part of me. No, I don't want to terminate. And I understand that they give that as an option, but I think that they should take a different route to it. So the point of all of that was to say thank you. Yeah. Thank you for what you do. Continue what you're doing. And if there's any way that the Briddell Family Foundation can help you in that journey, we are friends of yours and Anian's.
Thank you. We love just like sharing the message. And there's like so many families out there who I think feel that way. And I embrace all of like the new parents, because it's not something easy. I think sometimes our stories are like rainbows and butterflies. And it's like, these are some things that you have to deal with. You have to go through. There is absolutely honest grief for a child that you thought were going to be one way and your child is this way. But once you have your child, once you realize that you're not by yourself, just once you see your child. And I remember my husband and I, as we got the diagnosis and we're talking and back and forth, and it was such like an emotional, like 2 weeks that we were just talking about it and going like, what do we do? And my husband said, you know what? He was like, God told me, let him live on my terms. And that has been the statement that has been what he's professed. Like, let him live on my terms. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And that's what we've been doing. And Anian has been blowing it away ever since. And like I tell people, like, he's just the same as everybody else. I mean, I always say he's like the little brother that won't stop. He loves indefinitely. And it's always still like, it's silent. What's Anian doing? What is he into? Very like all of my like everybody. And I even tell people, like, don't think that he doesn't know like what you're saying. His communication outward may be limited, not his communication, but his verbal communication. But he's talking and communicating all the time. I mean, he plays Roblox. I had to get a character on Roblox so I can play with him because he knows everything to do. He likes to help cook. He likes to be independent. He doesn't like, I mean, sometimes, he likes to cuddle up, but other times he's like, I'm a big boy. Like what? I mean, he takes showers. I mean, he's a little boy.
Yeah. So do me a favor. We've been talking about World Down Syndrome Day, and we've talked about how you found out and my journey a little bit. But and I know you talked about the socks, but what we didn't say is, what is Down syndrome?
So Down syndrome is just the third copy of your 21st chromosome. Most people just have 2 copies. So people with Down syndrome have 3. So this just causes like an intellectual disability, some delays in speech, some delays in mobility. Most of our children are born with like low muscle tone. So they might present like a little, I want to say like squishy or floppy because that's just what it is. They have certain characteristics as far as features, but most of our kids just look like their parents. There's, sometimes, just look like their parents. So for him right now, his big thing is speech. So we've taught him a little bit of sign language and he picks it up very well. He started walking maybe at like 18 months. He did have to have physical therapy and had to have like braces for his feet because his feet are floppy like that. But other than that, I'm like, physical therapy is what we do at the park, what we do in the house. He can climb up these steps. I have plenty of video that shows that I paid my copay way too many times for those therapists and he was doing well at home. And he has occupational therapy too, which helps him with like his handwriting and like gripping pencils and things just to strengthen his arms and stuff. But other than that, he's an Anian. So pretty much our children are going to school. They're going to college. I have a friend whose daughter just got their driver's license and is driving her car. They are employed. So it's the support that you give them. It's placing no limits on them. It's really just being there, just like any other of your children, just with some extra help. That's it.
Awesome. We actually have some questions. So we do open it up for our studio audience, our audience to drop in some questions. So we do have a question that says, how have your other children overcome bullying stereotypes?
So in reference to Anian, so let me tell you, so he has 3 big sisters, big brother, and I can tell you my daughter went to Morgan for a year. She went to Morgan for a year, right? But she was in a class. I remember. Yeah, I remember she was in a class. I think it was a medical or geneticist class or something like that. I remember her calling me and her saying the teacher was teaching about genetic abnormalities. And she was like, Mom, they were talking about kids with Down syndrome don't live. They need to be instituted. I was like, at Morgan? And she was like, yes, they're talking about this and that. And I said, well, what did you do? She was like, I pretty much told the teacher about my brother, but she has a little bite to what she says, I'm sure. But
she's talking about my brother.
Exactly.
First of all, they do live because my brother is home going through my things right now.
Right. So that's pretty much what she did. She was like, I told my brother was fine. He is working well. My parents love him. I love him. She even had it as a butterfly, which is the symbol for Down syndrome, like on her back. But she was fighting. She was like, and I'm dropping that class. Forget it. That teacher's ignorant. So I was like, okay. But the thing is, for her to get out there and educate, she's very, very defensive of anyone who says anything to the contrary of that. He's just a lovely little boy. And his sisters, Avon and Pri, they're 2 different people. You know what I mean? Avon is one of those who just kind of has all the friends. She's very social. So she comes to me and says, everyone's acting like Anian is their brother and he's mine. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's love. Pri, on the other hand, is more of that confrontational little girl. So let someone say something about her brother, and she's more like pop, and that's it. She just walks away.
That's how she deals with the bullying. Look, we ain't gonna talk about it. Okay. I like Pri.
Right. And if you see Pri, it's so funny for me to say that because Pri is like, she's like the tiniest of tiny. Her voice is tiny, like she's tiny. But let something happen, she'll whip that neck like, who? what? Like, so it's so funny when you see her in action because no one believes me. Like, they're like, Pri? Quiet Pri? It's always those ones.
Them be the ones you need to look out for. Yeah. And so you started your book series, A Friend Like Anian, and your publishing company, Brown Baby 321 Publishing, because of what you're going through. One of the things that I noticed when I looked at your books is it said because you couldn't find, and you mentioned it as well, you couldn't find any books or anything that represented it, children like us, our children, brown babies, who had Down syndrome. So you started to write this book. Tell us a little bit about your series, about A Friend Like Anian.
So I had the thought of writing this book up so long ago, like when he was little. And because I remember for days like this, when we celebrate World Down Syndrome Day, and it's on a day that we're going to school, we love to like bring in literature and stuff to bring the kids and to read so they can be educated, because Anian is in their class. He's been in school since he was 2 years old. So it was one of those things where, oh, we want to come in and read to the kids. This will be fun. The kids will wear their socks. But I couldn't find anybody black in the book. On the cover, nothing. So I was like, this is ridiculous. Why can't I find anybody that represents him? And so we went on for a little while, and then I was like, okay, we have to, because each year I'm trying to scrounge up stuff that represents him, and I want him to see himself. And it was just so important to me, especially like how we're living now. And I want my children to know there are beautiful, beautiful black babies. So I started out just kind of reaching out to like social media, like, hey, anybody know an editor? Anybody know a publisher? I didn't know how to go about it. First step, no clue. Just, I guess, to write it. And my good friend actually had a publisher that helped me through the process for our first book. And they had never published a children's book, but I was able to do it under my own imprint. Right. And it just started out me just writing the story and me just going, okay, I really wanted to get it out. And I said, if it doesn't do anything, it's for him. I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm going to be on, this book club, or I'm going to be a bestseller, or I wasn't thinking anything like that. I just want a book. I just want a book that we all can share. I just want something to bring in. I just want something for him. And after I published it, which took a minute, because again, I'm going through the process of trying to figure it out, trying to find an illustrator, trying to understand this whole thing. It was just received so well. And more families were coming and saying, we needed this so bad. Like, you don't even know, we were looking for stuff. We needed it. I'm like, awesome. So the first book is A Friend Like Anian. The second book, which you have, is A Friend Like Anian, The First Day of School. And the third book coming up is going to be called French Fries in Blue. So it's a journey. I'm still learning. And I started the publishing company, Brown Baby 321 Publishing, so I can publish it myself. I didn't want anybody to take my rights, my words, my book. I wanted to do it by myself. And since it wasn't that hard, I was like, go for it. And hopefully I can keep on doing this and then help other families to write. I don't want to be the only one. Like, if you have a story, I want you to tell it. If you have a child with Down syndrome and they have their own story, I want you to tell it. We need it. It's something that's missing.
So before we dig in and start talking about this book, we love this book. We love you and we love Anian. And because March is, when we actually reached out to you, it was because it had nothing to do with World Down Syndrome or anything like that. It was because it was National Reading Month. And as part of National Reading Month, we are, the Briddell Foundation is partnered with 3 elementary schools. And we always like to shout them out and let everybody know how great these schools are, how great the students at these schools are. The teachers and the administrators, the principals and the vice principals are very supportive of what we are trying to do to give back to the community. And for them to have allowed us to partner with them, we just always want to shout them out. So if you would just give us a 5-second pause in our interview with you.
Of course.
Shout out to our friends at AJ Lewis Greenview in South Carolina, our friends at West Salisbury Elementary, and our friends at Buckingham Elementary in Berlin, Maryland. We are just so proud of these students. Meeka, they have been reading since March 1st, and as of today, they have read over 52,000 minutes.
Wow.
The reason we said over is because we talk to the students and we talk to the parents, and it's like, oh, I forgot to enter my minutes. Oh, I forgot to enter my minutes. So we have 52,000 plus minutes entered, and we know that you've forgotten. the babies are reading. And in part of that, our goal is to make sure that each one of these children gets a book, because the foundation's main goal is to promote literacy and reading and to help children in their mission to succeed in education and beyond. So we're currently doing a book drive, and at the end of this, there's 1,167 children between the 3 schools. All of those will receive books from us. And that's how this came about. We wanted the children to not only read books, but be able to see people that look like them and represent them in all spectrums. So we take all different types of books, and your book just fit perfectly into a program. So, and then I forgot, Meeka is extra special to us because we have a special program that the foundation does called Reading Buddies. And with Reading Buddies, we have some high school volunteers who have just agreed to work with us and work with our students. So we have 5 high school buddies who work with 17 students who we also call buddies. So they're reading buddies, and they're reading books together, and they're completing activity guides done by our education director. And your book was selected for that, for the first book. And they're excited about it. So let me give a shout out to our reading buddies. And if you're here, our reading buddies, because we do different activities. This is supposed to be fun, because sometimes reading, if you're making you do it, can feel like it's not fun, and we don't want it to feel like homework. So if any of our reading buddies are listening right now, not on the replay, right now, put your name in the comments, put your name in the comments right now, and you will get a prize from us. We talked about it. We've got our prizes. And actually, I found some more prizes that I'm going to go and see if I can get the board to buy for you. So right now, and we'll get something for you. So thank you, Ms. Meeka. I just wanted to shout them out.
Oh, yes, no problem. Good to go.
Yeah, shout out to our students. Shout out to our buddies. And drop your names. We are watching the comments to make sure that you drop your name. So while they're doing that, I do want to jump into the book, A Friend Like Anian. So this is the second book in the series, A Friend Like Anian. And this is the first day of school. How true is the story in this book to Anian's first day of school?
It's pretty true. Anian, the first day, he does have a dedicated aide, which I had to advocate to get him one. And this is an aide which helps him throughout the day. So similar to the book. So the aide, you make sure that he doesn't like run off, make sure that he's focused, helps him, in the bathroom if he needs it, help him complete his assignments. And it's true. So he's in an inclusive setting, which means that he is in the general population for school. He's not set aside to do anything else. He's with his children that is in his class all day long. So he just has someone that's assigned to him to kind of help him get through the day. Anian makes a lot of friends. So the thing is, Anian's been in school since he was 2. So some of those same children that he was in school when he was 2 went with him to his regular neighborhood school because we're all in the same neighborhood. Okay. So he does make a lot of friends. And I remember the first day of school was not easy. It's not easy for any of I think, just me, for the kids. But it's one thing because we have to advocate for our kids when they go to school. Because I think his school in particular, I don't think they've ever had a child with Down syndrome at their school. So when you come to the table and you advocate for him and his learning and get his individual education plan, which we call IEP, it's kind of you're sitting at a table with administrators and teachers trying to say how your son is valuable in this classroom and how he deserves to be here in a nutshell. So it's not always the easiest thing to do. So you have to make sure that you have the right people and the right supports. So it pretty much worked like that. I think he was nervous, but I think he was excited to see all the kids, and he's always ready to play and always ready to make new friends. And the way that people respond to him, especially children, because children are just so sweet anyway, they're ready to help them. They're just always ready to help them. So it's amazing when we go out, like if we're at the store, of course, sometimes pre-COVID, of course, or at the park, I'll hear people say, Anian. And I'm like, where do you know these people from? And they'll be like kids from his class. Or before he went to school, and I would post a lot on Facebook or on social media, I would have people come up to me and be like, is that Boo thing? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, who are you? And be like, people, I follow him. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. but he's just so relatable, and he just likes to be there. He's like a class clown though too. He loves to play practical jokes. He loves to have fun. So it's pretty similar to his first day. Of course, all the names are changed, but
Okay.
you know, right now he's in first grade. Yeah, he's in first grade, and first grade started virtual. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so it's a little different. So I'm going to hold on to this kindergarten way because that's when we were in person. But yeah, first grade he started virtually. So, you know, it's been a little bit rocky because his teacher is absolutely wonderful. And he's, you know, I think he's just ready to see everybody in person. So the books are pretty much him. Like I try to make them because that's how the story is a little bit easier because they're actual things for him and that's happened. I don't try to veer away and because I can't make up stuff like that. It's more stuff that's happened to him.
So we know in the book we talk about Avon and Pre, and you gave a little bit of, you know, insight now that the girls are older and how they respond to him. But because we don't want to give away too much of the book because we want people to go out and get it and read it for themselves. But what are some of Anian's favorite activities in school? Like this one is about first day of kindergarten, right?
Right, first day of kindergarten. So in school, Anian just likes to play. You know, most kids are not ready to sit down like, oh, let's go to work. But he likes to participate. He likes to be called on. So he does like to play with blocks. He does like to play with his friends. He does like to play at the playground all day. And absolutely one of his favorite activities anyway is swimming. He loves to swim, but he likes to be active. I mean, you can't keep him still. So anything that involves him running, jumping off of high things, throwing balls, that's what he likes to do. But most of all, it's just him interacting with people. He's like a relationship person. So he likes to play with other kids.
And I think what's important is just to reiterate that he's just like other kids. And like you said, they look just like their parents. He's going to act just like other kids with just a few special needs and special differences. I don't like to call them disabilities. And as I said, I work with individuals with intellectual disabilities of all spectrums, but I just like to call them individuals with differences. You know, everybody has something that makes them different, and we all have something that, you know, we might feel uncomfortable about ourselves. And, you know, some people are stronger in some things. And when I look at the individuals that I work with, they can run circles around me in certain things, and they're very, very smart. And sometimes they can be very, very cunning as well, especially because a lot of my clients, they know that they have a disability and they use it to their advantage. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be helping you with your work performance and, you know, making sure that you're okay on the job. And I come in and see that you're letting your coworkers do stuff. I'm like, stop taking advantage of these people. She can do this. And they're like, oh, she can. And said client that I'm thinking of will giggle and be like, oh yeah. I'm like, don't do that. Like, so they're just like you and me and everyone else. Do our listeners have any questions? We saw some names drop in of some people that are listening. We invite you to ask questions of Ms. Meeka about this book, about Down syndrome, about World Down Syndrome Day. This is your opportunity if you have any. I have a question. What are you doing today for World Down Syndrome Day?
Well, today, basically, we pretty much just celebrate and post our people that are sharing their socks with us. I have my wonderful job, and I don't think I can say their name either. No, but they have participated, and they participate every single year. So when I do the call out, they love to do that. Show, you know, send me pictures on my phone. I post it. I have a couple like book readings today. Anian is out living his best life. He was at a party. We just kind of celebrate and embrace all the other families too. I love to see them shine. I actually take tips from moms of children that are older because Anian is 6. So I just love to see them. I love to see the baby. So we just like have a party on social media. And I'm noticing that as he gets older, of course, like, you know, I want to do it bigger because he's noticing these things. Like he notices his birthday now. So if I say it's his birthday, he's like, oh, where's the cake? I need presents. I need something to do. So before, when it was like, oh, okay, we can kind of get by with some things for all kids. And then when they're small, but when they get older, they're like, I know my birthday, like when they know their date. But he likes to celebrate. So anytime something happens, he likes to celebrate. So we'll be doing it big next year, of course, after COVID. But we're just embracing all, celebrating the day. I'm wearing my t-shirt, my 321 mama with my fro.
I like that.
So we're just having fun all day long.
Okay, so you mentioned socks. I'm sorry, go ahead, Shakura.
No, I was just going to say, so Anian's going to have 2 parties next year. He's going to have his birthday, and he's going to have World Down Syndrome Day that we're going to be celebrating Anian. So, that is awesome.
His birthday is next month.
You mentioned the socks just now, and for people who are just joining in, you gave a little bit more information about it. Can you just, quickly tell us what the socks mean and how they can share their socks with you?
Sure. So we do socks because if you ever looked at it, and you can Google a picture of chromosomes, they look like little socks, just colorful socks. So we use that to have people advocate and bring awareness. So we have people that's wearing all different types of unique socks, colorful, loud, things with sayings, and just take a picture of them and show them to us. So you can tag us at brownbaby321 on Instagram or Facebook with a picture of your socks. You can shout out Rockin' for Boo Thing or brownbaby321 as a hashtag, and just spread awareness. I mean, we like to just kind of blow up the internet, and people are like, what are all these socks? So they kind of can be aware of the day, how we celebrate. So that's like the thing that we do. So they can definitely take pictures, post, tag, love on everyone who has an
Give us those hashtags again.
So the hashtags we're using is, you can hashtag brownbaby321. You can also hashtag rockin', no G, for Boo Thing. And of course, hashtag World Down Syndrome Day.
Was that rockin' for the number 4?
No, FOR.
Okay.
For Boo Thing. And then you can just hashtag World Down Syndrome Day. And then you can just follow him on brownbaby321 on Instagram and brownbaby321 on Facebook. And I think he's just now coming back from his roller skating. I think I hear them outside. But yeah, we just go and do that. And I share it with my job too, because I think it's something that, people ask questions. It seems like every year, I've been there for 3 years, and every year I do this, people ask more questions and go, I didn't know that. And so it's nice to have people relate their other stories, is that people telling me, oh, my sister or my uncle or my cousin. And it's like, yes, this is a whole community. Like, we're all family. So we all should be advocating for each other. And whatever information you have, I would love to have that information. You know what I mean? As I meet parents with adults, I don't know what I don't know yet. So I love to get tips from parents as well, to see like future planning and things like that. That's just the type of person I am, but we're all here for each other. So we have to make it work and share everything that we have.
Awesome. So you told us about A Friend Like Anian, First Day of School, and you mentioned that you have another book.
Yes. So the very first book is A Friend Like Anian. So this is the very first book we did. Both of them were published last year. And this one just chronicles his day with mom. So it kind of shows him in the community. And let me get that. I think he's like, oh, let me come in.
Live. This is how it is, y'all.
Do you want to say hi? No, you don't want to say hi?
Yeah.
He said, no, okay. I'm back, Mom. No, I don't want to say hi.
Oh, thank you. Dude.
Hi, Anian.
They said hi. You want to say hi? It's not my birthday.
Yeah.
It is? Oh, you went to a birthday party. Yeah, you sang happy birthday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you say? Oh, that's how he went.
And he had a good time.
You had fun? Yes.
Hi, Anian.
Okay, I'll see you later. Okay.
And he's so handsome.
I'm sorry, you were talking about A Friend Like Anian, the first book.
This is the first book. You can still get it on brownbaby321.org. And this is just his intro into the community. So I did that first book because a lot of the times when people see you and your child, oh, thank you. they don't know what to say. You know, it's just their child like everyone else. Or they ask questions like, why can't he say that? Or why can't, and so you tend to have to explain, but this is just more for the integration in the community. Are you going to sit next to me so you can do it with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Here, let me help you with the chair though.
You said okay. Right. He said no, like no. Run back out.
I think, yeah. He's quick to say no and yes for everything, but I think now he has a cake.
Oh.
So you know, yes. Your cake? Yeah. Okay. I guess he's gonna show us how he's gonna eat this chocolate cupcake.
So Anian had a really great day, and he's coming back in right now with his mom. And the reason he's so excited is he went to a party, and that was part of him celebrating World Down Syndrome. And today we have with us author Meek Caldwell, who is a mother and an author. And to all of our Morgan alumni, she's an Morgan alumni as well. It says you mentioned we have a.
Okay, I'll take the bag.
Okay, did you mention that Anian attends regular school? Do you see him doing any extracurricular activities?
Oh yeah, so he's already been before. Okay, let me open the door for him. Here, it's okay. It's okay. I'll get the chocolate. I'll get it. Okay, thank you. He got chocolate on the doorknob. It's like real life, y'all. So, but yes, he actually did Kung Fu already. I want him to get into soccer because he likes playing soccer. But he did Kung Fu for a while his sisters were doing gymnastics, and he loved it. So I'm all for the extracurricular, and he is too because he likes to stay active.
Awesome.
I do want to shout out to your illustrator for A Friend Like Anian, the first day of school, if I can, Cameron Wilson. So looking through, if you could just look at the cover and the picture, like, does that not look like Meeka in what we just saw of Anian? So flipping through the pictures that are in here, these pictures are so real life. On the back of the book, you have a picture, beautiful picture of the family. And that author, your illustrator just captured what you really look like. So shout out to your illustrator. How difficult, if it was, to find an illustrator for your book? Because I see you have two different ones for the two different books that you have out.
Yes. So the first book, again, that was my very first foray into writing a book. So I didn't know what I didn't know. And wonderful job by that illustrator. I think that the second book really captured us.
Yes. And
my good friend, Nicole Jackson, who's also an author, who I believe is coming on Monday for her Dash Jackson series. I always get the S's together. She referred me to her illustrator. So she's awesome. She's all for promotion and helpful so much to me. She's an awesome entrepreneur. And she was like, I have this illustrator, see if he can work with you, see if he kind of meets what you need. And the first thing I just needed to draw him. I didn't worry about what I look like. I just wanted him to draw Anian. And so when he did that, it was funny because in some of these pictures, I said, okay, so why do you always have his eye closed on these pictures? And he said, well, I've looked at your pictures and I noticed that most of the pictures he takes, one of his eyes are closed. And I'm like, huh? But after he drew him and after I looked at the pictures, I'm like, oh, you're right. You know how as moms, we don't really see our kids, like we see our kids every single day and we don't realize. When he drew that, I was like, oh my gosh, the attention to detail that was, because I had never seen it until he drew it. And I was like, oh, you're awesome. And I didn't even tell him like, oh, make my kid. I didn't say any of that. He just did that. And so it was funny because when my husband saw himself in the book, he's like, oh, can I have a different shirt? Can my pants be? I said, well, like, it's you, but it's not really you. But I was like, okay. See, I'm in the book. But,
right. The book talks about Anian's daddy. That is me, and I need to
It's like, can you make my head? And I was like, perfect.
To see what his shirt looked like. So this shirt is dad approved.
Yeah, because I think the previous one, I think it was like shorter, and you saw like the belt or something.
Right.
And he's like, can you just change that part? And then so it was like a lot, but it was fun because I'm like, wait a second, this is really what I wanted. This is what it's supposed to look like. These are the colors. This is him. This is attractive. This is great. So I was like, I know you're gonna blow up. So just keep me on your roster because you have to do the next couple of books that I do. So
yeah. And we love the cover. And like you said, I think it's on the screen now. It's full of color. It's full of color, and it's full of love. It's full of Anian. Yeah.
Yes, I was so pleased with that, and I think I'm still getting used to just kind of having like the family pictures and the bio and all those types of things. But I'm loving just to spread this awareness. I love it when people pick up this book, or I see people that have it in their libraries or have given it to therapists or doctors' offices, and they're like, we needed this book and we didn't even realize it. So shout out to Cameron Wilson, excellent illustrator. Thank you, Nicole, for referring. Thank you for everyone who helped me with all of these books.
Yes.
So you said that you'd like to give out the books and to have them in the doctor's office. And the whole reason that A Friend Like Anian, the series, came about is because we weren't finding books about children with Down syndrome. So for those of you who are tuning in and who are watching us, drop your names in the comments, and you will be entered into a random drawing to win your very own copy of A Friend Like Anian. So, however,
yeah, I was like, they don't get A Friend Like Anian.
You are going to get both of them. So you'll get the first book, A Friend Like Anian, and you will get A Friend Like Anian the first day of school. So these are definitely awesome books. So make sure you drop your names in the comments. We are watching them. We've already got our reading buddies to drop their names just to show that you're here, but drop your name in the comments so that you can get your very own copies of the first day of school, A Friend Like Anian, and A Friend Like Anian, the first day of school. So one thing that I do want to ask you, because you did mention this, that you have another book coming out, French Fries in Blue. So that's going to be another book that we have. But in the story, again, not giving away too much of the story, you did say that one of Anian's favorite things is French fries in blue. Can you tell us what French fries in blue is, or do we have to wait for the next?
You have to wait. You have to wait. I had so many people ask me, I was like, no, you can't get any secrets, Shakur. You have to wait for
Well, we will.
Not we your fellow Morganite. Like, can I pull that card? Can I pull the Morgan card?
No, I'm gonna give your car back and say you have to wait.
So we will wait, and we will wait with excitement. And as you said, you like to make sure that the books are ending up in libraries. So the foundation is happy to support you, and we're really happy about A Friend Like Anian and A Friend Like Anian First Day of School. And I think we have helped to give the book to 24 students so far. And as I said, they will start reading. They're going to be reading that as part of our Reading Buddies journey. So what we will do is we'll share the activity guide that we've come up with, or that our educational department has come up with, to go along with your book. And we'd love to get your feedback on that. But I'm looking at the time, and I know we're going to be wrapping up soon. Before we wrap up, it says it in your book, and because you are such a big advocate of Down syndrome and World Down Syndrome Day, a portion of the proceeds for all of your books go to somewhere.
So I love our local organization, our Parents of Children with Down Syndrome in Prince George's County, Maryland. I love our local organizations that support our families that are right here. Shout out to the national ones, but we like to get to the families that are near us. So podsofpgc.org, you can go on their website. Also, if you just want to donate separately, but they do a lot for our families. So, we put on
Prince George's County.
Parents of Children with Down Syndrome in Prince George's County. So the website is pods, PODS, of pgc.org. So we like to support them because these are our families that we see all the time. We try to put on events throughout the year to support the parents in our county. So I absolutely love them, and I credit them for being there for me and for sticking with us. And I love that our kids kind of grow up together. And, you know, I get a lot of advice from the moms that are already in that group. Like when time comes to go to school, I'm like, somebody help me. So I like it like that it's a nice, close group.
Awesome. So, Shakur, you had a question? I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I was slightly sidetracked. Excuse me. No, someone was asking me how can they comment their name. They weren't able. They were on YouTube and they couldn't get the comments. So I was just showing them how to comment on Facebook so that they can be entered into the drawing. And they want to make sure that they are recognized for being here. So
I see the names are dropping in. The names are dropping in. We see.
Oh yeah, they want credit. They're like,
They want those free books. They want those free books and prizes.
Yay, good. I'm so glad you did.
Brown Baby, we know we can follow you on Brown Baby 321. No, we know we can purchase the book on brownbaby321.org. And we're all going to go and get our colorful socks and take pictures and make sure that we include our hashtags Brown Baby 321, Rockin' for Booth Bang, and World Down Syndrome Day.
Yes.
We're so excited. Do you have a special word or comment for our reading buddies who will begin to read those books this week? So Monday is the start of A Friend Like Anian for them.
So I hope you like the book. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope that you understand how to be a good friend to everyone. And if you see anyone with any type of differences, that's your job, to be their friend, to embrace them, to love on them, to show them what community really, really is. So enjoy the read. Good job.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so very much, Meeka. Truly appreciate you and everything that you are doing for World Down Syndrome Day and just bringing awareness to the community as far as World Down Syndrome. Thank you so very much for stepping out on faith and writing the series of books, A Friend Like Anian, A Friend Like Anian, First Day of School. We can't wait for French Fries in Blue. And the other works that you have available, please make sure that you check out Meeka on brownbaby321.org. Follow her on Facebook and on Instagram at brownbaby321.org, or just look her up. Make sure that you post those pictures. To my fellow Morganite, I had to say, so proud of you. This is really huge. I have to reiterate, or my sister's sentiments, anything that we at the Bridell Family Foundation can do to assist you in your endeavors and getting the word out about Down syndrome, please let us know. It has truly been a pleasure to have you.
Yes, this has been fun.
This is the first of other conversations that we're going to have with you. This is the beginning of a new friendship, relationship that we're going to have with you. We thank you so very much. And for allowing us to have Anian in our lives. He is definitely special. I know he's special to you. He is a sweetheart. He's just so adorable. So we thank you for that. Check out A Friend Like Anian, the first day of school. Make sure you drop your names into the comments so that you can be entered into a drawing for a copy of A Friend Like Anian and A Friend Like Anian, the first day of school. And if you don't remember anything else that we talked about today, remember to keep on reading, because reading is fun. Have a great night, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye-bye.